Hi everyone, welcome back, and what I'm going to be talking about today is EDC, or everyday carry. So EDC, what is it and why is it important to prepping? So EDC is what it says on the tin, it's everyday carry. It's what you're carrying every day when you're leaving the house, when you're going to work, when you're going into town, whatever you're doing, okay? So having a little think about what you're carrying, making those little changes to make some little potentially life-saving or, trying to stop things from going worse than what they could have done, little changes to your life, and also making it practical, because there's no point in fantasizing about I'm going to pack loads and loads and loads of stuff into a pack and I'm going to be carrying it around all day every day, because that's not going to happen. At some point you're going to get fed up with carrying that 25-30 pound on your back, and you're just going to leave it in your car or you leave it in your house, and then it ceases to become EDC, doesn't it? So it's a balance between carrying stuff that potentially could help you in certain situations and scenarios, and not going too far, because that then ends up being a grab bag or a Bugout bag or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so it needs to be practical, and what I look at it is it's like a layered system. Okay, so the first layer is what's in your on your pockets in your body, sorry, and the second layer will be like a small Daysack that you carry with you as you leave the house or leave your car. All right, so talking about the first things that you're going to be carrying. Okay, so in your pockets. So first thing is one of these, a little challenge coin. Okay, so if you go into a bar and see some of your mates and they challenge you, you ain't got your challenge coin on you, then you're getting the beers in, aren't you? I don't carry one of these. That's a piss take. Someone I know gets really wound up about that sort of thing, so I thought I'd throw that in there. However, the actual stuff that you will be carrying for definite as you leave your house are going to be your keys, aren't they? So your car keys, your house keys, all that good stuff. There's a couple of things that I always carry on my key ring that do actually come in really useful for just everyday stuff, So I've got a small little torch there, and that comes in handy quite often, especially if you've been out on flipping beer for a few hours, and you come back to your house, you go to put your key in the door. If there's no light there, this can actually help you get your key in your door, and lots of other reasons, but that's the one I've used that most for. Then I've got a small knife. This is a small leatherman knife. So it's got a little blade on there, a pair of scissors and a file. And out of all the knives that I've ever bought and ever used, really this is the one I've used the most, because it's always in my pocket. Okay, so really handy bit of kit to have there. Then I've also got this CRKT rescue tool, and it's got a seatbelt cutter there. Now, I've never had to use this in anger yet. I say yet, hoping I won't ever have to. But this could absolutely save someone's life, or your own life, okay? So if someone's trapped in their car, you can quickly cut through the seatbelt and extract them out of that car. I've got a very good friend who was in an accident. He couldn't get out the vehicle, and the seatbelt tightened across his body and actually caused him some quite bad sort of nerve damage to his shoulder and body. He was unfortunately sat next to another mate of mine who was killed in the same accident, and he couldn't extract himself out of that car because of what had happened. So something like this could have, potentially saved his life, and definitely made his life a little bit more bearable. Another thing I've got on here then, this is an Apex tie off a parachute, an old PX4 military parachute. It's a bit of just a memento thing, but the other thing this does is it provides me with a source of paracord. So there's a little bit of paracord on there I could potentially use for something at some point. I've also got this little carabiner thing attached to the key ring, so I can, absolutely definitely attach that positively to something, whether it's the loop on my trousers, whether it's inside a Daysack, something like that, just to make sure that these don't get lost. Okay, the other thing that we always carry nowadays, as everyone knows, is a phone, okay, a mobile phone, all right? So this is a great source for lots of things, isn't it? Primarily communications, as we know. So if you were in some sort of scenario, something had happened wrong, an accident or whatever, then having your phone on you at all times is essential, isn't it? So you can either phone the emergency services, get in touch with your loved ones to let them know what's going on, anything like that, okay? But also there's lots of stuff you can put on there, as everyone knows. So all the apps and stuff you get nowadays, you can get mapping on there, you can get a compass app, you can get all sorts of stuff, the emergency apps like what 3 words, loads of stuff. You can also use this, I've got a protector on it there. You can also use this for potentially tucking away a few little bits as well. So what I've got within there is I've got a couple of little shims there for padlocks. So they're available from Jacobite Solutions, and they're really flat, and I've just basically put a bit of tape on there and taped them in out of the way. So, you know, I won't even think about them until I need to use them at some point. They're just tucked away in there. All right then. So another thing you can put in your pockets, and I don't always put this in my pockets. So a small knife, okay, a small folding knife. So with a decent blade on it. This is a Benchmade Bugout knife. I didn't get this because of the name. I got this because it had a really good review, or got good reviews, sorry. And it's a nice lightweight knife with a very decent blade on it, okay. So got a little catch there so you can hook it into your trousers. And again, in the UK, you can't really walk around with a knife in your pocket all the time, okay? There's certain laws. But if I'm doing something outdoors, or depending on the scenario, I would potentially put that in my pocket. Another thing that I'll have in my pocket then is a tactical pen. So this is actually a defensive tool. It's got a hardened point on there, so you put your thumb on the top and actually, you know, use it to fend people off, you know, if they're attacking you. But it wouldn't really, you know, it doesn't stand out as a weapon as such because it looks like a pen, and it is a pen. You basically screw the end off and there's the pen side there. So it's quite a good thing that's not sort of obvious to have on your body. Last thing in my pockets then is just my wallet. So got all your cards, ID, stuff like that. You need to have that on you, don't you, at all times. Obviously you can actually secrete little bits and pieces in here if you feel the need to. I wouldn't do that personally unless I was in, you know, travelling overseas and going to a potentially dodgy area. In the UK, I wouldn't actually start hiding stuff within my wallet, but that's another option you can do. So that's the first layer covered there. The only other stuff is outside your pockets that's included in that is things like a watch, okay? Right, so watches do get kind of forgotten about nowadays because most people are using, especially younger people, are using their phones as a watch, and a lot of people don't really wear watches nowadays. However, it's a really useful resource, especially something like this. This is a Garmin Instinct Tactical, and it's got GPS on it, and you can plot routes, track routes. You've got a barometer on there, you've got an altimeter on there. It's just a great bit of kit. This was £210, I think it was. It was reduced from £315 on the Defence Discount Service. So, you know, good bit of kit. Even just like a normal watch though, an analog watch, it's handy to know the time and just be able to look quickly at your watch. Also, if you were caught out and had to spend the night overnight outside somewhere, your phone could potentially lose power, couldn't it? Or it could just get, you know, knackered. It could get wet. You could lose signal, whatever. But you know, your phone, you can't always rely on that. I'd say having a watch is definitely an essential thing to have. So that's the first layer covered there. What I'm going to talk about next is the second layer, which is my Daysack. Okay, so this is my EDC pack. So this is what I'd call my second layer of my EDC. So outside of what I've just got in my pockets, this is the other sort of stuff that I'll be carrying. Now, I do see lots of videos of people on YouTube with their so-called EDC packs, and they're carrying all sorts of stuff. You know, and I'm estimating they're carrying over £20 worth of gear. That's unrealistic. You're not going to carry that every day, are you? Because you're going to get peed off with it. You might carry it once or twice when you're feeling keen, but you know, life kicks in and you're just going to leave it in your car. I do carry this just about everywhere I go. I take to work with me every day. When I'm going into town to do stuff, this is on my back. All right. So this actual bag, this is a 511 rapid oranging pack. I chose this because it was the right sort of size. It wasn't too complex and stuff like that. It was what I was after. Fairly sort of nondescript bag. It's 25 litres. It has got a few sort of molle loops on the back and stuff, but I don't use any pouches externally. It's got a little sunglass pocket in there, and it's also got quite a decent laptop pouch in the back there. You could use that for a hydration bladder as well. But yeah, it's a nice padded back and stuff. And I've had this now for, I think, about 5 years. And it only cost, I think, 60 odd quid. I think they're priced at 80, but I basically bought it on one of the sales. I had 20% off. It was like 60 something quid. So it's not bad at all, really, for the use I've had out of it. Got a reinforced bottom, quite hard wearing, so a good bit of kit. Anyway, going into what I'm actually carrying within the bag then. So, like I say, it's got a sunglass pocket on the top there. and what I've got is a pair of Gatorz Wraptorz, and the reason why I have these ones, they're good for skydiving. I've used them jumping quite a bit, and they've got an aluminium frame, so they're a bit more hard wearing than your average sort of Oakleys that are plastic frames and stuff. So a good bit of kit, but that goes in a little, there's a little sunglass pocket there that's fleece lined. I always do put it in a little case anyway, but that'll stop them getting scratched there. It's nice and comfy in there for your sunglasses. Right, there's a little external pouch on the back here. What I've got there, first thing out then, is a head torch. So I've got a Petzl head torch, which is, you know, it's really handy for a lot of scenarios. You can see there, it's really bright. So if you was in an emergency scenario where you had to, you know, deal with a casualty, carry a casualty, whether you needed to change a tyre on a vehicle, you know, whatever you needed to do, build a shelter or whatever, you know, you can do it hands-free when you're wearing one of these, as opposed to having to hold a torch. So really good bit of kit as a head torch. Next thing I've got then is a couple of pens. So, you know, I do have more pens and a notepad within the pack, and I'll show you that in a minute. But just so it's easy access, a couple of pens in the top there. Talking more on light then, I've got a couple of chem lights, so Cyalume glow sticks. I've got a blue one and a red one. You can use these for lots of things, can't you? You can use them for signalling, you can use them for marking a position if you're going off somewhere. You could even slot them in the loops on the back of your pack there, obviously outside of take the packet off, break it, and that could, you know, as you're walking, could be a warning to vehicles and stuff that, you know, there's a light on your back there to see, hopefully you don't get run over if you're in an urban scenario. So lots of uses for them. Now, essentials, yeah, bottle of Tabasco, yeah, got to be done in it. Wherever I go, I always carry a bottle of Tabasco, because you never know, they might not have them where you're going to get something to eat. And the last thing I've got in here then is I've got a small little luminous patch that I can attach to the back of the bag there, and I wouldn't have it on there all the time, but it's inside there just in case. So if you were, say, leading a group through, you know, a dark area in the woods or whatever, something like that, this thing there will make sure that people don't get lost behind you. They can stay behind you and they can see you. You may not want to have, you know, a bright light for whatever reason, and that thing you can only see it up to sort of, you know, 20 meters away, something like that at a max. So it's like a low-key version of a light source. Going into the main pack then, this opens up like so. You can get into it like that, and then if you want to fully open it up, you've got two compression straps, and it's like a clamshell opening, which is pretty good because then you can access everything within the pack. So at the very top then, I've got one of the Adventure Medical Kits med packs. These are pretty decent. They've got a waterproof case inside. They're not too bad as a starter kit. What I do though is always add a few bits of my own in there. I'm not going to go into detail and open this all up, but I've put in some of my own painkillers, some extra plasters, wound dressings and stuff like that, but they're not a bad sort of start point. Okay, next thing I've got then is a water bottle. So this is 3/4 of a litre of water. I drink a lot anyway, so I always carry a water bottle with me no matter what, but it's not a bad idea to have water with you all the time. Then what I've got is a waterproof jacket. As we all know, the weather's really changeable in the UK, so carrying something like this can be a good thing for definite. This is really lightweight. It's pretty compact, so it's a decent one as well. It's a RAB one, so it's not one of the cheaper flipping crappy token effort things. So that's a good bit of kit. Also, talking of cover, here's another bit of kit. This is a TRC Outdoor Cierzo shirt. So this is like a wind shirt, and basically I did a video on this in a previous video. I'll put a link on it as well. But it's just a layer basically to help keep the wind off and all that. You may not want to put the waterproof on if it's not raining, but this will help sort of keep you, a little bit warmer. And it's in this digital night camo as well, which works fairly well in the woods. So if you were in a scenario where you wanted to be basically, not be found for whatever reason, then you've got that option to just throw that on, and it's a lightweight layer. So you may, if it is warm, you're not going to overheat too much. Next large item in here then, this is my EDC pouch. And basically I just use this to organise all my small bits and pieces, and I'll go through this in detail in a minute. Okay, there's a couple of little zip pouches on the back of the flap here then, and the top one, what I've got is a waterproof bag. This is a lock sack bag, and within this what I've got is my power bank here with the associated leads for the different electronic items that I use. Then I've got a car adapter, so I can use those leads and stuff, you know, with a car. So if I've got a hire car that hasn't got a USB cable in there, or port, sorry. And then I've got a USB drive as well, just for, you know, if I need to transfer any files from computers and stuff, then that's there handy as well. In that top pouch alongside that, then I've got a Silva Compass, you know, and that, you know, it doesn't get used very often when it's sat in there in this kind of mode, but it's one of those things that you never know. It weighs virtually nothing, it's really lightweight, and as long as it's packed properly, it's not going to get broken. Okay, pouch down the bottom here then, what I've got is a handful, so 3 masks. So we don't have to wear these in England anymore, but in Scotland and Wales you do have to wear them. I was in Brecon Beacons last week and nearly got caught out. Luckily I had these in my bag because I totally forgot about wearing masks. I didn't realise you'd still have to wear them in Wales in shops and stuff. So luckily I had these with me. Also, the other thing is, if you were in a scenario where you didn't want to be ID'd for some reason, if you was kind of sneaking around grey man type thing, wearing one of these isn't seen as like an unusual thing anymore, is it? People still wear these quite a lot, even though you don't have to. So this could help mask your identity to a degree. So it's always worth carrying one of these on you nowadays, I think. Last thing in here then, so this is a thermal blanket, sort of thing that runners use, you know, at the end of the London Marathon and all that. We all know that these have got loads of great uses. You can make an improvised shelter out of them. You can obviously use it for wrapping around your body if you're, you know, in a very cold scenario, if you're soaking wet through, all that sort of stuff. You know, if you came across a casualty that's suffering from hypothermia and all that. So again, you know, look at the size of that. It's hardly anything and it weighs virtually nothing. So it's worth chucking something like that in there, you know, for the fact that it weighs and takes up virtually no space. That's all the bits and pieces in the bag there. Okay then, so at the heart of my EDC bag is my little EDC pouch. Okay, so what I've done with this is I've basically just used this to organise all the smaller bits and pieces into one pouch that you can actually grab quite easily and just take with you. And obviously you can switch this between bags, you know, so if you've got a grab bag, a bug out bag or whatever, you could have this within the sort of core of it and switch it between bags too. So it's a Maxpedition pouch and it zips open easily, just like so. And all the items there you can see quite clearly and are easy to get to. So going from the left then, you've got a mechanical pen. These are great for using with maps and stuff, so if you had to do a resection or something, these are quite handy because it's got quite a sharp sort of, you know, accurate point on it. Then I've got just a normal pen basically, nice and sturdy one though. Then I've got a Lumicolor, so that's a permanent Lumicolor. So it's basically just like a small marker pen. Use them quite a bit in the military for writing on sort of plastic surfaces and stuff like that. A Sharpie pen, everyone knows what a Sharpie pen is, and these are great for lots of good stuff. You know, not least to if you had to write on a casualty to, you know, tell anyone that he's had a tourniquet applied or morphine been given, stuff like that. Next thing here then is a small whistle. So these are great in an emergency if you were quite in the wilderness and you need to call for help for any reason. These expend a lot less energy than just screaming and shouting, okay, and they'll be heard from much further away. Okay, this last thing here then, in that little bit here, this is called a Fred, a field ration eating device from Australia. A mate of mine sent me this over. Basically it consists of a little tin opener there and a little spoon, a diddy little spoon. Now that is pretty small, but it's better than nothing, isn't it? It's better than eating with your fingers for a start. My dad served in the Australian Army and he used to carry one of these on his dog tags around his neck, obviously with this bit taped up so it didn't rattle, whilst he was in Vietnam. And I've still got that, and I just thought it'd be a nice addition to stick a modern one that ain't so manky within my kit. Okay, in the back here, what we've got is another mask. Okay, as I said, you know, one of those things that does come in handy once in a while nowadays. I nearly got caught out in Wales last week because they're still wearing them in the shops and stuff, so it's worth having one. And then what we've got here then is a waterproof notepad. Okay, this is a Modestone pad, very much like the Write in the Rain pads. However, the paper on this is actually slightly better. It fares a little bit better in wet conditions than the Right in the Rain ones. Going across the pouch then, what I've got is 2 resources of cord. So this is number 36 bank line, and there's about 15 feet there, so you can see how small that is. So that's the reason why I've got that in there, is because it's so compact. This is got like I think it's like a wax or tar coating on it, so that when you're tying knots they stay tied. And it's got a breaking strain of 320 pounds, so actually quite a decent breaking strain and enough for just about most things you're going to need cord for. However, I've got enough space to fit in paracord, so I've put in the normal 550 pound breaking strain paracord. You know, so if you did need to use some sort of cord for, you know, a task that was going to bear more weight, then it's worth getting it in if you can. And that's around about the same amount of cord. It's about 15 feet or so, and you can see the difference there. And obviously that's slightly heavier than that, but still it doesn't weigh much at all. Okay, so going across to the right side then, top of the right side is a Swiss Army knife. A little bit retro nowadays, not a lot of people carry these as compared to when I was a teenager. We used to, when I was in Army Cadets and stuff, everyone had one of these. Got a really nice blade on there, nice and sharp. A couple of small tools in there, tin opener, can opener, and a punch as well. But yeah, great little knife there. Next thing I've got is a 511 torch, and this uses just one AAA battery, and it's really good, really bright, nice little torch there. And you can see on these items I've got little loops tied on. I'll explain those in a minute. Okay, I've got a fire steel there, ferrocerium rod and striker. You know, probably won't ever use this in this kind of scenario when it's just everyday carry, but it's just a backup. I've got a lighter there as well, and as we all know, these are great in the wet and stuff. They'll strike whether they're wet or not, so it's worth having it as a backup because it doesn't weigh a lot and it's pretty compact. Next thing I've got then is a leatherman. So we all know leathermans are a great bit of kit, really handy for lots of tasks. You know, I've got a pair of needle nose pliers on there, some good blades. So I've got a serrated blade there for cutting ropes and stuff like that, and then I've got a normal blade on the other side as well, and then all the other stuff that goes with it, you know, the screwdriver heads, the different tools and stuff like that. So really good bit of kit to have on you at all times, not just for the crazy stuff that everyone fantasises about, the zombie apocalypse or whatever, you know, just for fixing stuff around the house or when you're out, you know, when you're at work, you know, flipping, sorting out any sort of bits and pieces that need sorting. Next thing I've got here then, this is a lighter in an X-Attack sleeve. So this is a 100% waterproof sleeve, and you can see I've got like a lanyard wrapped around it. So I'll just undo that there, and then that's a little carabiner there. And that basically is on the end of a lanyard. So basically what I can do, as I mentioned these things earlier, so these items here have got like a little loop of cord on, and all I can do if I need to is thread the cord through and then bring it back on itself, and then that basically I can attach to my pocket using the carabiner, and this is attached to me and I'm never going to lose it. So if I drop it, it's just going to dangle, isn't it? So I've mentioned in my previous videos, that's what I call my admin line. So I'd have a lighter on there, I can put my knife on there as well. I've obviously got my whistle as well that I can attach on, and any other little bits and pieces, things that are like really essential to have on your body at all times. So that's all that is there. Okay then, next thing I've got over this side is some black tape. Okay, so I've just wrapped quite a decent amount of black tape around an old card there, and that's to keep it nice and compact. All right, so black tape, if anyone isn't aware of that, and if you've been living on the moon or something, is great for all sorts of great stuff, you know, fixing things, repairing things, bodging stuff. It's just, out of all the stuff in here, this is probably one of the most used bit of kit, and I have to replenish once in a while because it just comes in handy for all sorts. So there's a little zip pouch at the back here, and in here I've got a small lock sack bag, and within this then I've got some of those little small compact towel things. So they're great for all sorts of stuff. You can use that for cleaning wounds, just generally washing and stuff, cleaning items, things like mess tins or whatever. You can use them for filtrating water. You can use them for minor medical stuff like cleaning wounds or just dressing over wounds, all sorts of stuff. And you can see how small they are. They're tiny, and they open up fairly big as well. I've got 3 AAA batteries there because obviously that's what my electrical items work off within this pouch. And I've got some purification tablets at the back there. So 2 packets of 6 purification tablets in the back. And that's what's in there. Next thing I've got is a water carrying bag, and it's actually got a cord over the top there, and you can get up to 1 litre of water in that, so pretty decent. And again, you know, this is more of a survival item than anything, but so I wouldn't envisage really using this in everyday carry sort of mode, but I keep this within this bag, like I say, this pouch, because I can switch it between bags and stuff, and it's just one of those things that you never know, it may come in handy one day. Next thing out then is a small medical kit. So what I've got in here then is mainly plasters and stuff, the cleansing wipes, wound closures, a couple of little graze dressings, stuff like that. And yeah, I am carrying an actual med kit as well, but I think it's just nice to have that little extra bit of kit in there because, like I say, I can switch this out as a self-contained package to and fro. And the last thing I've got in here then is a small mirror. So this is just out of a little wash kit. I wasn't using it in there. It's still got the protective film over it. So you can use this as a signalling mirror, or maybe just, you know, if you have something caught in your eye or something, you could use it with your good eye to actually extract whatever you've got in your eye or something like that. All right. And that's all the little bits and pieces that I've got within that EDC pouch there. Okay then, so that's my take on EDC, everyday carry. That's what I personally carry on my body, in my kit, every day. Obviously, where you're based, where you are in the world, you know, whatever situation you're in, whatever threat you may be facing day to day, that's going to have an effect on what you carry, what you put in your pockets and stuff. But hopefully that's just giving you some food for thought, some ideas. Anybody's got any thoughts, comments, suggestions, whack them in the comment section below. Thanks for all your comments and shares and stuff. I really appreciate it. Anyway, yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll be seeing you again soon. Cheers.